All new rotors and broke pads, yeah. Day 5, brake inspection. I'm getting a leak out of the back of the passenger rear caliper, right where the e-brake spring is. That caliper's gonna have to be replaced. Bracket looks okay. Rotors, I think, are okay. Pad wear, that looks okay. Nothing wrong with those pads or the rotor. Whenever you go inside of a wheel well, especially a car that's been sitting for a long time in Florida, always check for spiders. Don't just go sticking your head in here. All that is power steering fluid. And the surfaces don't look that great. I can have those turned. The caliper is almost touching the rotor. There's like no brake pads on the front. And the rotor thickness is much larger on the outside than the inner. So it's wearing on that rotor, that inside of that rotor, something fierce. So, whoa, is that the guide pin? What the fuck? Huh? I thought something looked kind of funny here. Look how offset the caliper is. You can see the guide pin. This caliper isn't even on there right. How do they even do that? How do you even not put a caliper on right? Wow, that's kind of weird. Whoa! Holy shit. Okay, this is interesting. This is something I've never seen before. It looks like, you know those the ferrite magnets, the ferrofluid kind of thing? That's all metallic from the back of the rotor. And it's all over here. It glitters. There's just glitter everywhere. This thing was slinging off metal from the back of the rotor like nobody's business. This thing was probably sparking. That's just crazy. And it's collecting on the ABS sensor, because the ABS sensor is a magnetic Hall effect sensor, right? So it's going to be a magnet in there. So all the shavings are gathering on that magnet. Wow, that's pretty neat looking, huh? Alright, that's cool. So, new rotors, new front pads. The whole front is bad. ABS sensor is probably good. It's just, you know, that's just a symptom. That's not a cause of anything. All the lines look okay. And that is the passenger front. So let's go over to the driver front. Whoa. ABS sensor was cut. That's not a mistake. That's cut. That is straight up cut. Shit. I'm gonna have to snag another ABS sensor. And there's goo all over the place. Oh, the CV boot on the other side is good. You can see traces where it goes from one nut to the other. And that's because it's slinging from here upwards onto that. And also downwards right there, and that's all CV boot grease right there. And the pin again, is that right? Is that right? That doesn't look right. Once the calipers are seized or fully compressed, man, it's so hard to see the pad wear when it's like this. All this stuff is, oh, there is some grease there, right there. So maybe it's just a slit. Maybe it's just cut. Maybe somebody did this. Alright, well, since the other side is hosed, this side is going to have to get new rotors and pads anyway. Well, and that caliper does not look like it's sitting correctly. Somebody screwed these brakes up. I think somebody tried to do a brake job and hosed it. Yeah, you can see the guide pin from the top. There's a little gap there. Yep, both front brakes are worn to the dial indicators. That's where all that magnetic crap is coming from. Yeah, I just checked the VIN number. This is the manual transmission that came with the car. So they just dropped the Millennium motor, kept the same transmission. Strut towers look good. A little bit of rust. No big deal. Other one looks about the same. You know, I'm sure the struts are shot. You can't tell a bad strut just from looking at it, but you want to make sure that all those coils are okay. They're not like rusted through or anything like that. Okay, so on to the back. Well, at least this one's got a connected ABS sensor. Brake line. But these shocks, these look different. They're blue, and it's blue on the other side too. So they replaced just the front shocks or the rear shocks? I don't know where these suckers came from. The Kikos are, I think, a lighter blue. Oh, look at that. Oh, would you look at that? Wow. Oh, this is a solid rotor. This shit is just all mixed and matched. This looks okay as far as a solid rotor goes. I'm guessing that's the other brake line that they ran to the other side of the car. The brake lines run in a pair. And they run next to the gas and vent or evap or vapor lines. So you got your fuel line, your vapor line, and then you got your brake lines next to it. And those run up here along this side here. Then they split off, and one goes back behind the fuel tank to the other side. But they didn't want to drop the fuel tank in order to run this line, and I don't blame them. So they just ran it and then zip tied everything, Andy Special, all the way to the other side. ABS sensor looks okay. No spiders, no creepy crawlies up here. Oh, there's a spider web. You don't really have to worry about spiders in Florida that build spider webs. For the most part, they're not dangerous. Not the ones that build a nice concentric spider web anyway. You gotta watch out for the guys that just put random strings down like a puppeteer. They'll just have random strings coming down. Those are the dangerous guys. Those are the hunters, and they hunt with poison. Fuel tank shield is rusted. Fuel tank itself is okay. Tow hooks are rusted to shit. The coolant is actually leaking out of the trunk compartment because there's a hole there, apparently. Maybe it rusted through, who knows. But it's not leaking out of the drain plug. It's just straight up leaking out of the trunk. That's so nice of them. Thanks for that present. Need to make a rap out of that. I love it when my trunks leak, causes me no sleep. That's why I'm not a rapper. Yeah, everything back here looks somewhat normal. Yeah, rear pads were not installed correctly either. They're wearing okay though. Just the little indicator is not installed right. All that crap is going to have to come out. All 4 brakes, all 4 rotors. It's going to need new pads, rotors on every single one. We're going to have to swap out these rear solid rotors and front vented rotors. And the difference between a vented rotor and a solid rotor is right here there's only one piece. And a vented rotor would have holes, like a fan that goes all the way. And that's just for airflow. E-brake cable looks okay. Everything looks pretty good on this one. I don't think there's a problem with this caliper. Look, no showing guide pin. How awesome is that? That's a bonus, right? Struts look okay. No leaks at the tank, so that's a good sign. Now, we'll go back over to that side, and I'll show you some more issues I saw on that side. Because this is a V6, and it has rear discs, and I have no experience on the rear discs, I don't know if the rears are supposed to have only slotted rotors and a specific thickness of pad versus the front, or if you can put vented rotors on the back. I don't know. So that's something I'll have to research, and we're just going to call today brake day. Yeah, we got a solid rotor on this side too, but everything is all gunked up. See that line? That is not a regular spider web line. That's what the Brown Widow does. He just runs a strand, and if you were to touch that tiny strand down there, technically when he's at the top of the strand it would notify him. And they run different strands from different locations. And they're kind of like hunters. They'll go from one strand to another, to another, to another, until they connect them all, which takes them a while. I've got to watch out for that. And I don't see any egg sacs or anything like that. I think he's going to be a small guy. He's going to be a fairly small baby Brown Widow. I know a lot of you guys are really fascinated with the Brown Widow crap that I had to go through previously, so, you know, I guess just a little bit more education if you ever plan on buying a car from Florida. That's the only reason that you should know what the poisonous spiders in Florida look like, really. Did somebody actually try to JB weld that? Oh, give me a god. Okay, so that's all for the brake inspection. So that's the damage for the brakes. We're looking at 4 rotors, 4 sets of brake pads, new rear caliper, driver's side, front ABS sensor. I'm pretty sure the ABS is inoperative on this car. Brake fluid reservoir is about half full because of that leak. And as you can see, that leak ran pretty good distance. So whenever you apply pressure on that brake pedal, that's when it's going to squirt out of this caliper, and until it relieves all of that pressure. Same thing with the slave cylinder up front. It's one reservoir for both the clutch and the brakes on this car. If you're unfamiliar with the 626, one reservoir. So if you have a low clutch pedal, check your brakes. They're connected. They all use the same fluid, and they fight each other. I want that fluid, I want that fluid. No, no, you can't have that fluid, get it back. So he says, hey, I got a brake problem. Well, yeah, actually you do. He did not know why he had a brake problem. Brakes diagnosed. I can diagnose disc brakes, no problem. Drum brakes, forget it. That's currently anyway. Probably in the future I'll get into drum brakes and I'll learn drum brakes, but for now I don't know crap about drum brakes. So I can diagnose issues on dem calipers. And I would really like to thank Andy for showing me all the suspension, brake, mumbo jumbo voodoo stuff, brake system and suspension system now. And that's mostly thanks to Andy. So thanks, Andy. Otherwise, I would have taken one look at this and I would have been like, it seems to be leaking some sort of fluid. Alright, so that's not so bad, huh? Just new rotors, new calipers, done and done, right? Even if the struts are blown, the springs are still looking good. I think we're going to end that there. That's brake inspection on Chloe's KL626 Restoration, day 5. Cool.